I think the grace of Heavenly Mother, compassion of Buddha Maitreya, Jigong Buddha, virtue of Patriarch, Sijun and Simu, and also Grandmaster, Senior Masterly and Junior Masterly, to allow me to have this opportunity to host this session. And I welcome your attendance here. So exciting. We are going to talk about Tao Te Ching chapter 27. What is the real wealth in life? Probably some people don't know here. Tao Te Ching, it was not separated by chapter. And also the title, it does not have a specific title given by Lao Tzu. It was the later scholar who gave the title. On chapter 27, it's called Passing on the Tao, or in Chinese, it's called Xi Ming Zhang. Chapter 27, I'm going to read chapter 27. Virtuous conduct does not leave track or footprint. I'm going to read Chinese as well. 善行无侧击. Virtuous speech does not find blemish or blame. 善言无瑕谪. A virtuous plan does not need strategic planning. 善计不用筹策. A virtuous closure does not use a horizontal wooden bar, yet it cannot be open. 善闭无关键而不可开. A virtuous knot does not use cords, yet it cannot be united. 善结无绳约而不可解. Thus, the sages always embody virtue and save people. 是以圣人常善救人. Hence, no one is abandoned. 故无弃人. They always embody virtue to save all being. 常善救物. Hence, nothing is abandoned. 故无弃物. This is called passing on the light or the Tao. 是谓习明. Therefore, the virtuous person is the teacher of the unvirtuous. 故善人不善人之师. The unvirtuous person is the resource of virtuous. 不善人善人之知. If one doesn't value his teacher and does not care about the resource, 不贵其师不爱其知. And although one has knowledge, one is extremely lost. 虽智大迷. This is called ultimate wonder. 是谓要妙. We can separate the chapter into 4 sections. The first section talks about the essence or the benchmark to be a sage or to be a great person. So it's sometimes we need to think about, have I fulfilled this 5 virtue or this 5 benchmark? And because this 5 virtue is being fulfilled, then you can move on to the next one. Then does the sage always embody virtue and save people? Here in the Tao Te Ching book, Lao Tzu always use the word sage. So when we read the word sage, we don't want to think about Lao Tzu is talking to the sage. I want you to imagine Lao Tzu is talking to you, because we are the future Buddha, we are the future sage, we are the virtuous person, we are the great person. So actually, Lao Tzu is teaching us how to be a sage. So when we read the Tao Te Ching, make sure that you imagine Lao Tzu is teaching yourself. Okay, so this is because of the 5 virtue, we can move on to the next one. And because the second stage is fulfilled, then we can move on to the third one. And the third one is that it's develop the relationship between the teacher and the student. And the last one is just the summary. The first virtue is the virtuous conduct does not leave track or footprint. So let's look at the text literally. So what track is Lao Tzu talking about? So when the wheel, imagine it's raining and right now the road, we all have a concrete road or asphalt. But in the ancient time, there's dirt road or muddy road, and when the wheel roll over, you can see a visible track. The next one is this character because it has this footprint on the left of the character. This means footprint. So one is about a wheel track, the other one is the footprint. So when was the last time you did something and you leave a footprint? Say you did something good, and then say you did something good for your family member, and then you call the other family member, hey, I did such great things for mom and dad. That will be leaving a track or a footprint. Or did you do something, did you contribute anything to the temple today? Say like you wash the dishes, or you mop the floor, or you did something. Did you advertise it? If you did, then that is like leaving a track. And Lao Tzu here is telling us, don't need to leave a track, because when you leave a track, it becomes not so virtuous, because being a virtuous person is that you don't want to be recognized. You don't want to claim any credit. I think this was talked about in chapter 2. So we don't want to leave a track. We don't want to brag about it. Okay, so when we share with our family member, or when we share with our friend that, hey, I did something, what's the purpose of that? Is it because that we want to be praised, we want to be complimented, we want to receive a pat on the shoulder? So the best way to look at this is to do anything without footprint or track is like, it's a behavior of wu wei, because you do things naturally and you don't want any compliment, you don't want any credit. That would be like wu wei. Isn't it like an example of the boat, when the boat is traveling on the say in a lake or in the ocean? How long does the track leave? Probably just less than a minute, the track will be gone already, right? So next time when we do something good, make sure we leave a track. Same like the boat. Just imagine the boat as an analogy. Next one. Virtuous speech does not find blemish or blame. So before we dive into this, let's look at this character. This character is the blemish on the jade. So the blemish, it's start from within. So it's an internal blemish. And the next one is 责. 责 is like blaming people, whether people blame us or we have the finger to blame others. So I use this as an external effect, because when we point finger to other, that won't be a virtuous speech. And when we say something, other people say, hey, this person, how can this person say this thing to me? So we become the person to be blamed. So if we say in an organization, if we rank in a higher position, we intend to talk to somebody as if we are in a superior position. But Lao Tzu say, that's not a virtuous speech. And as you can see here, I have a different picture here. This person, when this person says something, he has a different version. And this person maybe is not truthful, because he can blow up his speech like the balloon 10 or 20 times bigger. And this one, the last one, is the picture of the tongue is like a sharp knife. So whenever we speak, we have to be careful. Our words need to be truthful, not deceiving. We don't blow up our speech. When is the last time we intend to put embellishment on our speech? Think about it. I did that when I was younger, because when we submit our resume, sometimes we have to use fancy word. When we go through interview, we need to do that a little bit, to dress up ourselves a little bit, to dress up our skill a little bit. But besides that, we just dress up a little bit, but not too much. So, but besides that, we try to make sure our word is what it's reflect from us. Okay, so basically when we say something, we like to say things that's positive. right? If we say positive things, people will not feel bad. So we want to say positive things, encourage things that will inspire or motivate people. And we do not want to show off, and of course not to be arrogant. Yeah, Jerome say, who are we to judge? Usually when a sage say something, we cannot find any flaw within. So that's not stage we want to be. So now we need to be careful, because when we are talking about this, a lot of time we talk too much. So sometimes speaking less, it's good. And there's a golden rule. Silence is golden. So we speak when we need to, and when we speak, we want to make sure we fulfill our promise too. Next one. It took me some time to think about it too. A virtuous plan does not need strategic planning. And you say, oh, wait a minute. In life, we need to do a lot of planning, right? For example, last week, our grandmaster came with 3 masters from Singapore. That's a lot of planning. Master probably did 3 weeks of planning to welcome grandmasters coming. But why Lao Tzu say a virtuous plan does not need strategic planning? Because in a society or in the mundane world, when we talk about planning, it's all about calculation. How much does it benefit me? How much does it benefit me? If it benefit me, then I would do it. If it does not benefit me, then I will not do it. How do we calculate how much benefit me? We use calculator, right? How much money we receive. And then in the ancient time, if you want to do I Ching, you use the stick to calculate, okay, should I move forward or should I just stay in the same position? And this is the B calculator. It's called an abacus. So when we talk about plan or tactic or investment planning, we are talking about ROI. That's more about business term. Lao Tzu talk about strategic planning. It's about how much money, how much benefit I get. But in reality, there's a lot of things that we cannot calculate. For example, friendship cannot use abacus to calculate. What about filial piety? In our early childhood, our parents give us so much. So if you put it in calculation, we will be in big deficit. And today, some of you see that I bring my mom over. So how am I going to calculate? I cannot calculate. When we talk about calculation, planning, investment, it's talking about the physical term. And when we talk about physical term, we are talking about number, and there will be competition and there will be division. If we do any virtuous plan, such as if we want to do something for the temple, if we want to do good deeds, if we want to serve in the temple, if we want to say contribute some kind of dish to bring to some kind of charity or donation, that kind of planning does not need a calculator, because it looks like on the surface, in the 3D dimension, it looks like you are losing. But on the fifth dimension, in the heavenly term, it's beyond calculation. When we talk about calculation, there's a lot of things heaven does not calculate. For example, when we look at the season, we use our calendar, right? Right now we are in October 20th. Right now it's 11:12 a.m. But how does the universe operate the four season? Four season was not calculated. It was calculated by whom? By whom? And the time, the day and night was not being calculated. So next time when we do calculation in terms of the holy mission or holy work, a lot of time we don't need to calculate. If we want to do it, if it's good for people, if it's good for others, just go ahead and do it.
I just want to say that whatever we do, just do it with your heart. And that's what matters. And just don't think about what you're going to have in return, because, it's just do with your heart. That's what I say. Sincerity in your heart.
Yeah, thank you, Jerome. So a virtuous plan does not need planning because everything is done wu-wei, everything is done naturally. A virtuous closure does not use a horizontal wooden bar, yet it cannot be open. So in Chinese, let's see. This character means close. And this character is the straight wooden bar. In the ancient time, the door is closed this way. Yeah. Nowadays, people don't use this, but you understand the concept. So can we think of any virtuous closure that does not use a horizontal wooden bar? Sometime in a relationship, um, a couple is so close, even though they are two separate individuals, but you cannot separate them. Talking about Romeo and Juliet, they are so close, right? They don't use wooden bar, and yet it cannot be open. So how can we achieve this kind of status? It's only so Lao-Tzu is talking about the invisible tie, the invisible lock. And the invisible lock is having our mind so closely deep rooted. So that is like a tree has a deep, very deep root. And how do you have a deep root? You have to make sure the root is steady, very firm. And when the wind comes, I think a couple days ago we have the Santa Ana wind, right? And the wind was blowing so strong, and some tree, uh, their branch break, and the wind is so strong. So we just need to make sure, having the tree as an analogy, our heart, our mind, our cultivation, our practice also need to be deep rooted, because if our mind is not deep rooted, it will be so easy to open. And when it's open, what happened? The virus will come in, right? Same like the picture, the virus will come in. So how to keep our door closed? Because there's so many viruses can come in. The virus of greed, temptation, envy, jealousy, discrimination, judgment, hatred, our behavior, gossip. Sometimes sometimes we say things without thinking. And then we apologize to our friends, our family member, and they say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that. If we don't mean to say that, then why say it, right? So how to keep our door closed is important. So here is a few tips. Self-awareness, of course, this comes in practice. Self-awareness and have a deep root. So it all takes like a, I would say like a daily practice, and constantly be aware of ourselves. In the modern term, it's called be mindfulness. So always live in the present moment. Always think about, okay, am I doing it right? Constantly remind ourselves. Of course, right, in the beginning, we want to constantly remind ourselves, but as we do it more and more, that kind of reminding becomes that awareness becomes very natural, right? And aligning with Tao, it's also part of the practice too. Moral discipline also help adhere propriety, also help filial piety, being respectful, treat other people with respect. And in our temple, we talk about three no departure. That means we always not always, just make sure we come to temple regularly, attend a sermon, and also read the scripture. Doesn't matter which kind of scripture, as long as the scripture can bring you wisdom, and be close to the wise person, whether this is a master, a good friend, or somebody that can inspire you. Next one is a virtuous knot does not use cord, yet it cannot be untied. So here, Lao Tzu is talking about the invisible knot. Have you ever had great friends that you feel so close together and it cannot be break? I have friends like that. Talking about karmic tie, this is called karmic tie. Um, like say you and one of your family member, whether it's mom or dad or sibling or your child, sometimes you and your child have this invisible knot and it cannot be untied. So same for us. In the temple, if we come to temple for so long and we develop this fellowship with our Tao brother and sister, we have this virtuous knot and it cannot be untied. And our master is also considered a sage too. We are the future sage. The master is considered a sage to be, and they are more closer to Tao than us, and they can lead people without string or rope, yet people follow. And since we are the future sage, we want to be like them too. So we want to, how do we how do we lead people without string or ropes? How do we do that? What about always bring good energy to others? Always share your positive thought. Yeah, because if you are very positive and you always have good frequency, good energy, everybody will want to come closer to you, right? And of course, people will follow. You don't need a string to tie them. So if you are this kind of people, you will never feel alone or secluded because you and other people, you have no boundary. And it's like, even though we are two different individuals, we all have different gender or different ethnicity, different culture, but there is no boundary because we are all tied with a rope called Tao. This is called the virtuous Tao knot. That's what we all have. Otherwise, we will not be here. I will not be here with you talking about Tao Te Ching and doing the sharing with you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jerome said this is called affinity. Affinity, it's also a virtuous knot too. So a virtuous knot use no string because this is a virtuous bonding that are derived naturally from unity. All being are derived from oneness. And we have this virtuous knot. We are, we are bonded by our karmic tie because we have good affinity with Lao Tzu and good virtuous knots with Lao Tzu. That's why we are here study Lao Tzu's teaching. And we have good affinity with Tao Te Ching. We have good affinity with all the fellow here, right? And of course, we have affinity with all the Zen sages and Buddha Maitreya, Jigong Buddha. That's why we are here in this temple. And it cannot be untied because we are here to learn from each other. And we understand this bond cannot be broken. Therefore, it cannot be separated. Isn't this beautiful? So we just finished the 5 benchmark of being a sage or virtuous person. So basically, we can talk about this in different perspective. So in the first one, the virtuous conduct does not leave a track. It means that we do everything in the method of Wu Wei. Everything we do is spontaneously. Second, a virtuous speech does not find blemish or blame. It's that we talk less because everything we talk diligently and we make sure whatever we talk, we don't have different version, we don't bluffing, and we don't have extra embellishment. We talk less and we do more. And number three, a virtuous plan does need strategic planning. So everything, again, we do everything spontaneously. We don't need calculation because when we do the calculation, there's the number, there's the gain and loss, and then we start to compete. Do I gain more or do I benefit myself or Do I benefit others? This is what the common people do. So when we do the holy mission, when we do the holy work, when we come for the Sunday service, we don't need to calculate. And number 4, a virtuous closure does not need to use a horizontal bar, yet it cannot be open. So we want to make sure our mind is guarded, and there's several ways we can do it. We can come to temple more often so that we make sure that our mind, body, and soul is aligned with Tao. And we basically live in the present moment, always remind ourselves that did I say it right? Is my conduct correct? So basically having this reflection, self-reflection is very important. And number 5, a virtuous knot does not need to use cord and it cannot be untied. So basically we are all together, we are in this fellowship of Tao because we have this invisible tie of Tao. So let's make it stronger. So eventually we will be able to deepen our root for our mind and for our heart too. And because all the above, and we do things wu wei, we do things spontaneously, and there's no competition. Therefore, the sage always embody virtue to save people, because people and the sage are the same, because we come from the same origin, right? We all come from the same origin. The sage come from a human body, and we call ourselves the future Buddha or the future sage. So we can also look at other people in the same too. So they save people regardless, and therefore no one is abandoned. They always embody virtue to save all being. All being meaning here, it could be things, could be material things, animal or being. Hence, nothing is abandoned. This is called passing on the light. So, 习名. This word 习 is to inherit. It means to continue, to carry on, or to carry on the torch, to carry on the baton, or to carry on the light. So this chapter is called 习名章. So it can be translated into a different way. Let's go over this. It can say, this chapter can be called as passing on the light, passing on the Tao, pass down the wisdom, carry on the Tao, continue on the Tao, or following the Tao. So basically is that we are learning from Lao Tzu so that we can pass on the teaching of Lao Tzu so that the Tao, the wisdom, the light can carry on. The sage understand everybody have their purpose. Everybody have their purpose. That's why today when you come to the temple, I'm here to share the Tao Te Ching with you. But then at the same time, there's people in the kitchen cooking, and there's a team of people cooking. And then they spend a lot of time doing grocery shopping, and they also do planning too. They plan on what they need to buy they plan on the menu for today, for the lunch for today. And they plan how many people will come. My God, this kind of planning is difficult because when the holy chef plan for the lunch, they don't know how many people are coming. It could be 20, it could be 30, it could be 35, or it could be 40, or it could be 50. So this kind of planning, my God, I cannot do that. And I'm not good at cooking. And then, of course, there's people who coordinate the temple schedule. So everybody have their purpose. And imagine we ourselves do everything. That's impossible. So everybody have their own role. So being a master for the temple, they try to save people because they put people in a different role in the temple. So everybody can utilize their time here in the temple. Tao is about respecting life, respecting the nature, and there's everything for everyone. There's everything for everyone, and there's a perfect role for you. There's a perfect position for you. Even if you cannot find anything to do, just stand in the front and smile and greet to people, that will be good too, right? Therefore, the virtuous person is the teacher of unvirtuous. 故善人不善人之师. The unvirtuous person is the resource of virtuous. If one does not value his teacher and does not care about the resources, and although one has knowledge, one is extremely lost. We can understand the first one very easily. The virtuous person is the teacher of the unvirtuous. The second one is difficult to understand. The unvirtuous person is a resource of virtuous. So before we dive in, let's look at what does it mean by resource. So what is resource? Resource means there's a lot of supply coming, a lot of flow coming, such as wealth, such as capital. When you do a business investment, you need financial resource. If you don't have financial resource, how are you going to do business? You cannot, right? So there's a lot of supply and the support, whether it's support from your neighbor, support from the community, support from the government. You need those resources. And sometimes we apply for a small business loan. We need resource, the capital from the bank. And sometimes we get the financial resource from the family member. But in the spiritual realm, here we are talking about the resource for polishing us, because whenever people do something negative to us, say if people slander on us or gossip something bad about us, it's an opportunity for us to practice forgiveness, isn't it? And to practice patience, because how long would it take for you to fight back? Do you fight back right away? Do you fight back after a month or years? Or you don't fight back at all? You just swallow the sorrow. And how much endurance you have. We all know that as we age, our character is being polished. So we do need that polish from our friends and relatives. So I would say that doesn't matter where you go, whether it's in a family or in a workplace or in a temple, there will always somebody say something that you don't like. And that will be the perfect time for us to check how well I cultivate. I always use the opportunity to check, am I still angry? How long is the anger? So I use, when we get sick, when our kids get sick, we use the thermometer to check their temperature. They have a fever, or their fever goes down already. So we use that as a thermometer to check our temper, right? So that's a perfect opportunity. And every time when it comes, I just check it again and again and again and again. Because this is something that we can check ourselves. We cannot allow other people to check us. How do other people know that if we are still angry or not? People cannot check. And how do other people know that if we have forgive so and so? They cannot. And here, it's also a resource for self-reflection. So when other people don't behave as well, say they have unvirtuous conduct, it's a reflection on us, or maybe like a warning. Hey, this person is like this, and I don't want to be like that. So it's a self-reflection. I don't want to be like that. And the next one is that, say somebody, again, this unvirtuous person do something to you. And here you are there to express your love and kindness. If this person is being so good to you, how do you express your love and compassion? If you express your love and compassion, you need to find a recipient, right? Somebody say something bad to you, and you are about to get angry, but then you remind yourself, hey, I cannot get angry. Then you extend your compassion, you extend your forgiveness, and you say, it's okay, I forgive you. So this is a perfect opportunity to express your virtue. So imagine Christmas time is going to come, and you want to give a, you have a gift, and you don't know where to give. Have you ever had this experience? Sometimes you are just so happy, and then you are just happy, and you want to give a smile to somebody, and then everybody have a grumpy face. Right? Have you experienced that? And then you smile in front of them, and then what do you get? You receive a smile from them. So this is the best way to extend our smile. In the future, if somebody say something to you, we always use that as a resource. So here, line 3, it says, if one does not value his teacher and does not care about the resource, although one has knowledge, one is extremely lost. So I just want you to remember there will be always somebody, something that will get on your nerve. Just hold your breath. It's a test. Yeah, Jerome said it's a test. Again, on line 3, if somebody does not value the teacher, does not value about the resource, that would be somebody who's arrogant, right? I want you to think about when being to this Tienshin temple for so long, we've seen people come and go, come and go. So those are the people that probably they don't care about the resource. So just being a person who develop the root. So we make sure our root of heart or root of Tao is deep so that we can sit here. We can continue learn from Lao Tzu and learn from his Tao Te Ching. This is called the ultimate wonder. So this is the last line for this chapter, and this is the summary. So in other words, if you understand the 5 virtue, if you understand the resource, everybody is your resource. If you understand the teacher is there to teach you, and there will be the virtuous person and the unvirtuous person. There will be the bad person, you can call it the bad person, or the bad Tao brother, bad Tao sister. But it's okay, use that as a resource. And when you use that as a resource, you unlock the true wealth. And this true wealth is just beyond belief. Because what kind of true wealth you will get? Spiritual practice is like climbing up the stairs. So when you receive all this wealth, it's like you climb up the stair. And when you climb up the stair, what happened upstairs? What happened? So let's say, for example, the road of cultivation has, say it has 100 floors, and Buddha is on the 100th floor, and we are on the 5th floor. So when we unlock our wealth, we can climb up the floor, up and up and up. So what happens when we go up? When we go up, there's more light. The frequency is higher. There's more positive energy there. And there's more resource, the resource from the divinity. Because you are more close to God, you are more close to Buddha, you are more close to angel. There's more support. But if you go down, what happened? There's more bad energy, right? There's more hatred.
Lady, she was the master, like in Brazil. She used to say that the higher the higher the mountain, the stronger the winds.
Very well said. The higher the mountain, the stronger the wind. The higher the mountain, the less oxygen. it's it's more challenging, it's more difficult to survive. There's less people up there. But in terms, there's more support because you are more supported by the divinity, right? You will have more resource from the invisible being. Who are the invisible being? The saints, the sage, the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, Jesus, 关圣帝君, 吕纯阳主, 师尊师母, they will all be your support. And then you will get the ultimate true wealth. So down below down below, say on the first floor, second floor, third floor, there's a lot of competition, right? There's a lot of people bad mouth to each other. And the more down below, there's more wall because there's more competition. When there's more competition, that means there's more boundary, there's more division. But if we can lower the boundary, lower the division, create this kind of harmonious relationship, do things more spontaneously and do things without calculation, not calculating using calculator, do things more follow your heart, then we will be more close to God, close to the universe, close to the source, right? Isn't that good? So here we come to, we already finished chapter 27, and now let's do a recap. So chapter 27 can be divided into 4 sections. The first section is about 5 virtues, the 5 benchmark. So let's see if we can do that. So if we can do that, we will not differentiate the people. We will want to save everybody, right? Including the animal. That's why we are vegetarian. We want to save the people regardless whether they are good or bad. And Lao Tzu did talk about that. Lao Tzu say that we shouldn't divide people. But here, in order to give a good example, he say, okay, here's the virtuous person and the unvirtuous. In other words, he say there's the good person and the bad person. But that was just an illustration how we can reduce the distance between people. Because if the virtuous person and the unvirtuous person, between them, the distance is reduced, then everybody become one, right? Everybody becomes equal. And when everybody's equal, in fact, our spirit, our soul, it's all equal. It's just that we are born with a different ability, different ethnicity, different culture that makes us different. And also, different people have different character. They have different temperament. So we need to be able to accept them and use them as our resource, use them to practice Tao. And this is called an ultimate wonder. So earlier, like Jerome said, we have no right to judge who is good and bad. And we can never say, I'm better than you. I speak Chinese and English, but then Peter there speak Spanish, right? And I cannot speak Spanish. And Ivy here speak Vietnamese. I can never speak Vietnamese. Jerome here speak Portuguese. I cannot speak Portuguese. So actually, I am not better than you. From God's perspective, everybody is the same, even though we are slightly different. But if we are looking at everybody from God's perspective, everybody is the same. Let me just give you an example. Here in Tienshin Temple, we only have 1 floor, right? I think our next door neighbor, they have 2 floors. Or even in downtown Los Angeles, there is like skyscraper, maybe 50 floor. But when you look at it from the top, can you see the difference? You cannot see the difference. You cannot see the difference because if you look at it from up above, can God see that Joanna is just 5 feet and Jerome is 7 feet? No. Everybody is the same. Okay. Yeah, eventually Jerome said we all go to the same place. So I just finished my sharing on chapter 27, and I want to thank especially to my PPT editor, Robert M. Jenko, who is also the author of Tao Te Ching and an intuitive interpretation. Robert, can you open up your camera?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joanna.
Yeah, this looks the same, right? So this is Robert. He is yeah, Robert currently is in Palos Verdes. He's also in Southern California. If mistakes were made or said during today's sharing, I ask the forgiveness from the Heavenly Mother, Buddha Maitreya, Jigong Buddha, Patriarch, Sizun Simu, Great Master, Senior Masterly, and Junior Masterly, and I thank your participation. Thank you so much.